Good morning, everyone that is joining us. I apologize for the late start. Um, Bear with me 1 second. Yes, if you joined us yesterday, you will have heard from one of our speakers, Dwayne Reed, saying just get on and start, regardless of any of the smaller issues that you may experience. So just some kind of housekeeping. Yesterday we had a fantastic session in which I shared my plenary. Some of the thoughts that I shared, I'm going to summarize them very quickly. But if you did not hear from Dwayne Reed, please do look out for an email today that will have yesterday's session. I would love that you listen to some words of wisdom from him. And for all those that attended yesterday, thank you very much. It was very active and interactive. We want to maintain the same spirit. It doesn't have to be boring. We want to make it as much fun as possible. The good thing is that now everyone has to pre-register so we know who is attending. One of the requirements we are putting in place is to ensure that the winners of the grants will have gone through this entire process. So it's very important that you attend not just yesterday's or this, but also the upcoming sessions. So it would be good to see who attended yesterday and what your thoughts are about the session. If you could just type in the text message, what your thoughts are with regards to the session yesterday, what would you like to see change, and then we can adapt and as we go along. So where you're located today, what you liked about yesterday, just use the chat session so that my colleagues can keep looking at that. I won't bore you with what NACE is all about. And what we've done in the past and how we've done it. But perhaps if you remember, I did talk about the sweet spot of your idea, that it needs to be desirable, feasible, and viable. And I explained what each of those means, and this is going to be available if you follow yesterday's video. It's really very important that you do that because all this is leading you into a journey where you're going to pitch your idea. So nothing that we are talking about is an isolation. Everything has been deliberately put together. It has an important component, an important reason. There's a way it fits into the story that you're supposed to tell when you do your pitching. So if you missed yesterday's session, by all means, please go ahead and catch up. We went through the design thinking process, and empathy was one of those key things that we talked about. We talked about making sure that you define very clearly who this individual is that you're designing the product and service before you even begin to ideate. So the ideathon essentially is somewhere like here, but we want to take you back to the basics so that you can refine your idea. And for those that get into our incubation system, there will be opportunities to prototype, to test your idea, perhaps change a few things back and forth so that you have a better chance of succeeding. Now, you'll recall I talked about the value proposition canvas and how that's going to be very important as part of the judging criteria. Today, I am delighted to have Laura. I'll let her introduce herself. She is from Startup Africa. These are some of our support partners that you will have been seeing on our flyers. I guess most of you have been wondering, when are these guys going to come in and do their bit? So today I'm delighted to have Laura on board. I'll let her get on very shortly, but I did mention that the value proposition canvas sits bang in the middle of the business model canvas, and that it is very important when you're looking at your business model canvas, which is what you're going to be judged upon, that you understand the value proposition first. And this is actually a whole day. The whole day today, we're just talking about your idea, the value that you're putting onto the table. And the rest will be, I think, completed tomorrow, the other parts of the business model canvas. I won't go through these because we went through them. Everything else is now to do with what Dwayne was saying. So without wasting a lot of your time, allow me to welcome Laura. Laura, please, if you could activate your video and maybe go ahead and share some of the slides that you have. Very delighted to have you. I don't know whether your colleague Matthias is also on the call, but over to you, Laura. Oh, sorry, before you come on board, I should mention that we do have, and yesterday we forgot to mention, we do have someone on sign language. So if you need sign language, please watch out for the videos because someone should be on the sign language. Perhaps Peter and my colleagues, Albert, I wonder whether we're able to activate the subtitles. If not, then I don't know, but that's something to think about. Laura, over to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dennis. Let me switch my camera on, at least for a second. Oh my God. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm super happy to be here to see all that energy. Thank you, Dennis, for the introduction and the quick recap from yesterday. It sounds exciting. It sounds amazing. And I see there's a lot of activity in the chat. I actually see some of our students, some of our startup ambassadors. So that's amazing. And yeah, as Dennis said, my name is Laura. I'm one of the co-founders of Startup Africa. I lived for the past 4 years here in Uganda, working with university students and early stage startups and supporting them to start innovative and scalable businesses that can solve problems and make the world a better place where we all like to live in. And I'm really, really excited every day actually about my work, and also really excited to be here today and hopefully give you some support on your journey in implementing your amazing ideas. And I'm not alone here. I'm here with my colleague Joanita. She is, I think, yeah, perfect. She is here. She's one of the panelists, and we're going to focus today on 2 key parts. I think Dennis introduced that already right now. We are going to focus, actually, when we look at the design thinking process, we're going to focus very, very much on the first parts of the problem and the emphasizing, so really understanding the problem. And then we are going to dive deeper into solution finding and the value proposition canvas. And I promise you it's going to be very engaging as well. So feel free to always ask also questions in the chat. And so you get the best out of that. And I would hand over right away to Joanita, who will facilitate the first part on the problem and the emphasizing bit, and then I will take over with the solution and the value proposition canvas. So over to you, Joanita.
Okay. Yes, I'm here. Good morning, everyone. Happy to be here. Just like Laura said, I also work with Startup Africa. Excited to be taking over this session with Laura, and I hope that we all gain so much from this session. So I'll just share my screen shortly so that we already dive into it. Just before I start, I already also see the chat is really very active today, and I hope that we continue being as active as possible so that we don't make this a lecture, but a very good conversation. So, minute. Yeah, so today we're going to cover customer needs. And later on, Laura will come in to discuss more on the value propositions and solutions. So again, I hope everyone has renamed themselves and we are participating in the chat box. Always unmute. No, I don't think we should unmute. Type your questions in the chat box if you want to raise any question. And also we want to make sure that everyone gains from this session. So feel free to ask any question, and yeah, let us have an amazing time together. So I don't think I can see my chat, but I would also raise a question to all of you. How many of you already have an idea? I'll just go in the chat a minute and see.
Wow, already, I see a lot of ideas.
Yes, everyone. Everyone. Oh my God, this is exciting. Everyone actually has an idea. And the next question is, second question, how well do you understand the problem you're trying to solve? At a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you understand the problem you're trying to solve? 10. 7, 10, 10, 10. Oh my God. Okay. So almost 9.8. Okay, we want to fulfill the 2 now. Okay, 10 out of 10. Okay, another question. How many interviews have you conducted already to understand the problem really well? So if you're at 9.8, if you're at 10, we want to know how many interviews you've already conducted. 5, 2, 7, 9, 2. Okay. 25. Oh my God. Laura, do you see 20s in this chat?
I think I even saw a
100.
55 right now. Okay.
There's 100 interviews already, 150. Oh my God, this is exciting. We love the energy. Keep the numbers coming through. Go to another question. No, there's not any other question. We're just going now to dive. We know that some of you now understand the problem very well. You've conducted some interviews, but still want to dive deeper into understanding the problem. We know sometimes you might think you've understood the problem, but at the end of the day, maybe today you'll know that actually there's something missing. So I'll go straight into into understanding entrepreneurship. So a minute. Okay, so I understand that we are all entrepreneurs and we are all trying to solve problems. So want also to know, right now, some of you are thinking I'm an entrepreneur, but you're not already confident about it. But some of you are not also calling yourselves entrepreneurs because maybe you don't understand what entrepreneurship means. So also we're trying to solve problems as innovators, as entrepreneurs. We are solving problems. So successful entrepreneurs spend most of their time understanding the problem because you're calling yourself an entrepreneur because you're solving a problem. So we're going to dive into understanding the problem again so that we confidently call ourselves entrepreneurs and act on it. I don't know why my computer becomes very slow. Okay, so I know that most of us are in these sectors. We are trying to understand problems in the creative arts industries, tourism, agriculture, STEM, ICT, smart cities. Some of you are into manufacturing, some of you are into renewable energy, mineral development. But also, if I've not mentioned your sector here, you can also put it in the chat. But for us, we are thinking that most of you are falling into this category. So we are going to be relating whatever we are going to talk about into these various sectors. So good ideas come from problems worth solving. And what solving means, people look for the solution for it, right? So, so if I'm looking for a solution, it means I'm not already happy with existing alternatives. And also someone will pay for it. And the problem is possible to solve. So I understand most of you might be having a problem that you feel, yeah, it is existing. Maybe people are willing to pay for it. We are in maybes. But today we are going to see if actually the problem you're trying to solve is possible to be solved. And you are bringing something new. So how can you identify problems worth solving? So one, you have the problem yourself and you want a solution. And two, you find a very big problem or need that you want to solve for others. So you might be pissed at something, maybe in the tourism industry, in the like moving around and you just don't like the traffic jam. There's a lot of urban challenges. So one of the key things is you're pissed at it and you want to find a solution for it. And two, it's not about you, but another person. So there are two options, you yourself or the other people or your community, right? So yeah, so how can you identify problems worth solving? When you listen to friends, family, colleagues, and learn about the challenges and worries. So when we say we are trying to understand problems, feel comfortable to listen to people, talk to them, And these can be very great business opportunities. I think most of the times when I'm talking to people, I just, at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, who can actually do something about this? So the idea just comes from listening to people, talking to them. And the second one is observing the environment, right? So you observe your environment, maybe solid waste management, maybe people are looking for places to go to have fun, and you want to do something around that. Maybe there's something about accessibility of services. Maybe something, something can come out of you observing what is going on. And the third thing could be talking to experts. So some of you who are not already confident about the problems you're trying to solve, talk to experts to understand them better. I've seen some at 5, some at 2, some at 3, some 9.8. We want to understand what is the lagging bit so that we cover it. So you can talk to experts in your area of interest and identify the gaps and challenges. And I know for students, sometimes you're already doing projects at your university. You're asked to identify topics to discuss, or topics to talk about, topics to study about. This can be a start of something good. So understanding, we are stressing understanding the problem because this is very key, right? So right now, I know some of you said you have ideas. Yes, you have ideas, exciting, right? But at the end of the day, you need to understand the problem very well, and this should take most of your time. If you understand the problem very, very well, the solution is going to come very, very fast for you. Yeah, they come very easy because you've understood the problem. You know what you want to solve. You know who you're solving it for. So at the end of the day, you're going to find solutions that can work for a certain group of people. So I'll go to how to understand the problem. Who is your target group? So I want to also see in the chat, if you know right now what the problem is and you have an idea, who is your target group? I can already read stuff in the chat. You can keep them coming. I want to know about your target group already. Someone says students, youth, farmers, amazing. The sick, livestock farmers, entire community. Wow. Okay, I'm part of the community. We have mothers in hospitals. We have service providers. That is a bit general. We have local Ugandan people, so I'm one of them. Breastfeeding, unemployed youth, poultry farmers, many. Okay, so you need to understand who your target group is. So we are going to still dive into, now I've seen people saying entire community. We are going to understand if actually the entire community is your target group. Then 2, if you want to understand the problem very well, talk to people, talk to your target group. So the person saying entire community, I'm wondering how you're going to talk to all the people in your community. I don't know. So talk to your target group, yeah? Which goal do they want to achieve? What hinders them to achieving this goal, right? So go on to talk to people. Please don't have the problem with you in your house, in your books. And then you also kind of say, oh, Joanita goes to work every day. Maybe she has a problem of transport. Please talk to me so that you can achieve the goal you want to achieve in solving my problem. Re-understand the environment. Which other solutions already exist? Maybe Joanita actually has a car that can take her to work, right? Or maybe I have a friend who can pick me. Or maybe I also have my border guy, right? So understand the environment. Which other solutions already exist to solve the problem? I know some of you are solving urban challenges, maybe manufacturing, but what is already existing for the target group? So why are they not working very, very well or well enough, right? So as you also understand the problem, your target group, understand why the existing solutions are not working very well for that target group. I'll move on to the next one. So just like I said, I'm now going to kind of go deeper into the target group, right? So when I asked about who the target group is, I saw someone saying farmers, someone saying entire community, breastfeeding mothers, patients. These are very wide, this is a very wide scope, yeah? So your target group, the people who have the problem you want to solve or need your solution, they need you to address it. So different target groups have different needs, wishes, and challenges and require different solutions. And also start with a specific target group first. Now, when you say farmers, which farmers are we talking about here, right? Are they farmers in Jinja? Are they farmers in Kampala? Are they farmers in Wakiso? Please be as specific as possible with your target group, right? Because you can't understand a problem if you don't know who exactly is facing that problem. So try to understand, if I'm talking about patients, which kind of patients? Is it someone having a slight headache? I'm also a patient, right? So am I talking about cancer patients? Am I talking about patients in a certain area doing like cancer patients in Kampala or who go to Mulago? Please be as specific as possible, because it is from this that you can ask relevant questions to the relevant to the target group, right? If I'm saying community, which kind of people in my community am I focusing on? So I don't have this link. Yeah, so so for example, we have the tourism industry. Now, target group 1, the goal is people who want to have an awesome time with friends, right? So also, as you're talking about your target group, they should be having a characteristic, right? So if I'm talking about tourism industry, the goal is these people want to have a very good time with friends. Now I'm going to go down and characterize them, right? So these are Ugandans. They can be young professionals. They can be people that don't travel much in Uganda. So if I'm focusing on local tourism, these are the people that I'm targeting. So when you go here, my target group is Ugandans, young professionals, they have this kind of characteristics, right? Those are the ones for the local tourism. Now, if I go to target group 2, there are people that want to get to know the African culture. Now, me as Joanita, I already know the Ugandan culture. So this might not be exciting for me. So if you come and ask me questions about the Ugandan culture, I'm thinking, oh my God, are we joking? Because I'm not your target group. For me, I know the Ugandan culture. Now, what that means is you have now to think more on who are people that are very interested in the African culture. And then you do you write down the characteristics. These are Europeans. They have just finished high school. They're figuring out what they want to do in life. These are people that don't know what they want to do right now, and all they want to do is to explore, right? So these are your people that you can actually ask the relevant questions. The target group 3 and in the tourism industry could still be people that want to have a great family holiday. Now, Joanta doesn't have a family, right? So if you come and ask me questions of where do you want to go with your family? Are you facing this kind of problem with your family? I'm thinking the questions are very irrelevant. Now you now get the reason as to why we need to be very specific with the people that you want to ask questions to understand the problem. So characteristics of this kind of people can be Ugandans, can be parents with minimum maybe one child. All these characteristics can be gotten if you listen to people, talk to them, be specific with what you want to achieve, understand them, what they want to achieve, and then write down their characteristics. Now, when you understand their characteristics, you're going to solve their challenges or their problems, right? With very, very quick solutions and solutions that work, right? So different target groups have different wishes and needs. So you should decide who to focus on. Understand their needs very well. Now, we have these local Ugandans, we have Europeans, we have people with family that just want to have a great time, maybe every weekend to just go somewhere for a getaway and, but you cannot understand this if you've not specifically identified their needs, wishes, characteristics. So that is why it's very important for us to understand these different people. Now you'd rather now focus on, maybe I should focus on local tourists, but then you can only decide on this if you know their characteristics very well and what they want to achieve. Maybe you could say, I want to focus on Europeans. Maybe I want to focus on families, right? With that, you are very specific with what you want to achieve. and the solutions really come in handy, right? Yeah. So how to talk to your target group? Have a conversation, have a plan, a guideline, what you want to find out. Dig deep. Now, in the first place, we first identified who the target group is exactly. And then you want to talk to these people more, right? So have a conversation. As you come for the conversation, have a plan, right? Just don't come and have random questions, because these questions will not be relevant if you didn't plan for it. Now dig deep and really understand the root causes of these challenges and wishes. The only thing I would ask you is to listen. Please listen as much as possible, because as people are speaking, there is that one thing, that pain point that you might actually find exciting for yourself. And as you go to these people, don't go with the idea. Yeah. Don't talk about your idea. Even if you find it really exciting and you want to tell it to Joanita, please don't tell them this idea, because if you tell me the idea, I'm just going to rotate around it as well, right? And in this case, be as flexible as possible. In case you find there's something really new that you've learned, take it and see how you can actually find something out of it. So some good questions to ask: how do you normally do this? Where do you have the biggest challenges right now? What are your biggest goals, dreams? It's always good to ask someone their dreams. I'm going to talk about African culture, but I'm not interested, right? So please talk to me about my dreams. My dreams could be something different. And then at that stage, you get to know if I'm really a target group or not. So have you already tried to solve these challenges? These are some of the questions that you can ask your target group, right? So yeah, so third is to understand the environment. Find out which existing solutions are already there, right? Ask your target group what they have tried before. Please be as as inquisitive as possible and listen. Some of you just have to ask people and then at the end of the day, give them answers. So just make sure that you give them the space to speak as much as they can, and you can listen and take notes. Because in these notes, you're going to find out something really amazing that might come out of it and might actually change your entire idea that you had in the beginning, right? And this might change everything for yourself and for the communities, for the world itself. So check how other companies, communities, countries are solving the problems so far. Check YouTube and Google, speak to experts in the field and get their opinions. Don't conclude on problems without understanding people very well. These are just slides a bit for the preparation for the pitching day. Now, this is just for the problem part. So at the end of the ideathon, the best ideas you pitch for award money. You'll need a pitch deck, a presentation about your business. So we will maybe share our template so that you fill in kind of maybe the problem part for yourself. And I think I'll ask Laura right now to take over. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Joanita. Before we jump into the solution part already, I would love to hear from you in the chat. What are maybe some takeaways you had right now from the session? What is something you realized you're maybe not yet doing as well as you could do it in future? Maybe you could shortly give me some highlights in the chat. The client is always right. Okay, interesting. Understand problem and audience. Wow, this comes too fast. It's difficult to read. Ask more questions, better understanding the problem. Okay, awesome. I think there are some really good highlights. Customer segmentation is popping up here. Okay, awesome, great. Yes, so I think I just want to stress out again what Joanita already said, that also sometimes we don't even see the problem in the beginning. Obviously, we just need to start. We need to have a starting point, but then the open-mindedness is really the key thing in these interviews, because sometimes there might be really, really surprising things coming up. I see also here, I think consultation from experts. That is also a really good point and can really also add on to your research. But the key thing is really to talk to your customers as much as possible, and even to spend time with them. Let's say if you want to develop an app for farmers, please spend time with them and see how they live, see what they actually use and so on, to really develop a very human-centered solution that actually brings the solution you want to bring. Amazing, cool. So I want to jump from here into the next part, the solution. So let me share my screen as well. Great. So let's do a very quick recap. So we are very well aligned to then go together into the next session. As Janita had said, we need to split our target group in different segments. And that's really key. And I think that is the biggest challenge I often see when I'm working with entrepreneurs or startups, that they just want to target everyone. But you don't target everyone. You have a very specific group. If you want to sell something to me, I might have very different needs or desires than Janita, for example. And that is really important, to be clear on who you want to target and what is actually their problem. And what is also super key, and what I really want to stress out, find out which existing solutions are already there. Too often, I have seen that entrepreneurs, they have an idea, they are so excited about the idea, they love the idea, and they spend a lot of time planning, and they never do proper research if the solution is maybe already out there. And that is super important. And actually, it's a great way also to become even better, because if there's already an existing solution, you can find out where's maybe still the problem with the existing solutions and become better. But if you're ignorant of what's around you and how other organizations, companies, and so on have tried to solve a specific problem already, then it's difficult to succeed. And I think, for example, when we stay with the agriculture sector, I know that there are a lot of apps, for example, a lot of apps that try to solve problems for farmers. But then I'm wondering, are these apps really used? If the problem is still there, maybe the app was not the right solution, or maybe there's a problem around, let's say, the uptake of technology you need to solve. So really look at existing solutions, and from there, dive deeper and find out where the problem really lies. Okay, from here, I would want to move to the next part. And the next part is to look at ideas, to look at the value proposition. So value proposition really means, what are we offering? And I know this is the best part. This is the part we entrepreneurs really love, to bring out a lot of ideas. And important is the match between the idea and the problem. But we're going to dive into that in a bit. So first of all, I would like to talk about good business ideas. And I would like to ask you first, if I can read you, because you always type in too fast. What do you think? What are good business ideas? Could you give me some answers in the chat? What do you think is a good business idea? Okay, I see practical and scalable. What else? What else? Smart ideas. Revenue generation, they should be specific, flexible, solve problems for money, feasible, smart, feasible, solve problems. Wow, okay. Deliver real value. Okay, I can just keep highlights here. But I see feasible a lot, viable a lot, adding value, address a problem, scalable, achievable. Okay, great. You mentioned a lot of points, sustainable. Okay, I think you have already a lot of good points. For me, there are a few key points that I want to introduce to you now. And I think the first part, and this is actually the most important, is you have to be excited about the idea. If you are not truly excited, then it might be a good idea for someone else, but making an idea fly, making an idea work requires a lot of your heart, a lot of your passion. So you must be excited about the idea. I think Janita earlier mentioned, what are you pissed at? What is something you really think every day, like, why is that not solved? That is a great problem to solve. And that is a great idea maybe to work on because you truly feel the pain. And this is something you're really excited about. So for example, let me take the example of startup. I started startup and I started startup out of my own passion because when I was a student, I got a lot of entrepreneurship support. I attended amazing trainings that were really life-changing for me. And I suddenly felt through these programs, I'm not active anymore. Actually, I'm not passive, I'm active. I have all the power in my own hands. I can do anything. And these amazing trainings and these amazing experiences and exposure with people and ideas were so important to me that I felt, okay, I want to do something similar. And I want to give that back somehow to other students to also have these life-changing moments and to feel like, wow, I can actually do it. And this is an idea. And this is why I'm so excited about startup. And this is why when we started startup, we didn't have funding, we didn't have money, and we used our own resources and we just pushed through. We went to a different country, went through a lot of failures, made a lot of mistakes, but because I'm so excited about, this is still what I love to do. And this is what every day I'm excited to do. So that's, again, why I think really ask yourself, what are you excited about? What do you think you can push through for the next 5 years and to make it a big thing? That's number one. Number two, an idea that solves a growing large problem. We talked about that in the beginning already. Where is the problem? And really ask yourself, is that really a large problem? Is this a problem that will even grow bigger in future? I think, for example, a lot of problems related to climate change, they're going to just grow bigger and bigger. Or a lot of problems regarding to employment. They're also to grow just bigger and bigger because populations are growing. So these are problems that are great to tackle. I think also when we look at the SDGs, there's a lot of inspiration we can draw from. But really ask yourself, is my problem really big? And is it growing? And will it grow in future? Because then it's a really good business opportunity. Then next one, also very important. Do you actually have the skill and the team to make the idea work? Too many times I have seen students or young startups who want to develop an app, but they don't even have a developer in the team. And they think, yeah, we need capital to outsource it and to get an external developer to develop the app. Unfortunately, most of the times it doesn't work well like that. Because when we're building something, no matter if it's an app or something else, if we offer a product or service, it's an iterative process. I think Dennis mentioned in the beginning the design thinking loop. And important here is the loop. It's a loop, it's iterative, yeah? And we continue to understand the problem, build the solution, and continue to improve and to improve. And if you don't have these skills to make these improvements yourself, to build the product, to build the app, to execute the service yourself, it might be very hard to really reach that level of outstanding excellence, where you really solve your customer needs in an outstanding way, much better than all your competitors. And especially if it's innovative, if it's an innovative idea, you should really get these skills into your team. And that's also important, team. I just want to stress that out. Too many entrepreneurs don't want to work in a team or find it hard to find team members. They also know it's not easy to find and to build a really good team, but you must try. You must try to get a really, really, really strong team. And I can also tell you from the perspective of investors, investors don't invest in the idea. Investors invest into the people. And they invest because they believe this guy, this lady, they are going to make it work. And they have the right team to make it work. Because ideas change, yeah? The more we learn, the more we understand our customers, the idea might change. But if the team is stable, you can make it work. So really think through, how can you, if you have not yet gotten great team members, how can you get amazing team members? to make this idea work. And lastly, point number 4 is, does your idea really solve a specific problem of a specific customer segment? Yeah. So that's again what Janita said earlier. If you're in the tourism industry, you start with one customer segment, start somewhere and become amazing at that. And then you can scale further. Let's say, I can tell you from my experience, if we talk about European, let's say we want to offer tourism experiences to, let's say, German tourists. Yeah, I'm German, to German tourists. And now already, when we look at German tourists, there are different groups of German tourists. We have the families. The families, they have some good money. They want to go to lodges. They don't want to be too much in traffic jam in the city. They want to enjoy family time. For them, you need a completely different package than for the young backpacker, for example. Yeah, let's talk about myself. When I came to Uganda without a family, just me, not having a lot of money, just coming from university, I really wanted to explore the country. And I love to explore the country through tasting local food, hanging out with local people, going to local parties, learning local craft, maybe being in the nature, doing hiking. I'm not so interested in game drives. I'm not so interested in big fancy hotels. I'm not so interested in lodges, but I'm interested in this really, let's call it a bit more real life experience of Uganda. Unfortunately, there were not much offerings for a tourist like me, because most things you can do in Uganda are for this other segment, for the families who go from lodge to lodge and have many, many thousands of dollars to spend, not me. So I actually felt a bit limited in the way I could do. Now, when you're now a tourist company and you ask yourself who you're targeting, you see already that if you want to build offerings for Laura, for me, you might develop a completely different package than if you develop offerings for families mainly. Yeah. And obviously, at some point, when you're successful on one customer segment, you can scale out to more customer segments. But especially in the beginning, when also resources are maybe a bit limited, your time is limited, your energy is limited, let's just start with one segment and with one problem. And ideally a segment that has money to spend, that is large, and a segment also that you're really excited about. You feel like, yes, this segment, you're excited about them. You want to bring them the solution. You want to make it work. So these are my 4 key points to what are good business ideas. And I want you now to reflect on your own business ideas again and to look at these 4 points and ask yourself again, are these 4 points all matching with your current idea? And it's no problem at all if you feel, maybe I'm not so sure. No problem at all. Ideas are an iterative process. But I want you to think about these 4 points and question yourself a bit. I see there was one question, right? If value addition is a good business idea, and it can be a good business idea, the point is just who is going to be the customer and are you solving a problem for them? If that's given, so if the market is there, then value addition can be good. But not if you want to make some value addition, but no one wants it. No one is interested in it. Yeah, then it's not a good idea. But if people are really interested in it and they see this is solving a problem for them, then it's awesome. Then it's a great point. Okay, let's move on from here. We know now what are good ideas. Sorry, my internet jumped for a moment, but I think I'm back now. Let's move on. So there is not just one great idea. I really want to stress that out. Yeah. To understand the problem is really more important. I know we say this over and over again, but I really want you to all internalize that. The problem is what you need to understand. as much as possible. And that is really the key thing. And there might be several really, really awesome ideas. And your first idea is maybe not the best idea. Most of the cases, actually, it's not the best idea, but that's fine. And the point is to get started. I think that's also what the session yesterday was about, to really just get started and to test and to iterate and improve your idea, always based on customer feedback. So for example, let me go back to Startup. When we started Startup, we thought that we are going to offer training, innovation, and entrepreneurship training programs to university students at Ugandan universities, and universities are going to pay for it. That's a model that works in Germany. Universities pay for services like that. And we had conversations with universities here in Uganda. They even signed letters of intent that they would pay for it. And I thought, yeah, and we thought, yeah, this is going to work. Then, well, we executed our idea. We realized it's not working. The training was good for the students. They liked it and the universities liked it, but still the universities didn't want to pay for it. So we had to change our idea. We had to change our business model from there. But we only learned it also through trying. So I also see Abdul put a really good comment in the chat saying, Albert Einstein said, if I had time, I would spend 95% thinking about the problem than the solution, meaning trying to understand the problem. Yeah, so this reflects exactly the point, yeah? Think about the problem as much as you can, learn about it, and then the solutions come easier. Okay, as I said, I think I emphasized it already. We need teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. So really ask yourself again, do you have the right team members already to execute your idea? If not, try to get team members on board. Okay, nice. So I think that was the key introduction, let's say, to ideas and the solution finding. And I would now like to dive deeper into a tool that Dennis had introduced earlier already, and that is the value proposition canvas, a tool that just really helps us also to structure our ideas and to ask ourselves, are we really solving a problem here? Or maybe not. And I want to dive deeper into that now. And you see here the value proposition canvas, and I'm going to repeat shortly what each segment is, and then we're going to fill it together with the example of Save Boda. So we are first going to focus on the right side, on the big circle, yeah? On the circle, you see customer jobs, then we see gains, and then we see pains, yeah? Customer jobs means basically, what are the goals of the customer? Like, what does the customer want to achieve? Sometimes the word jobs is a bit confusing for people, but don't get confused by it. Just think as customer goals. What does my customer want to achieve? Now we're looking at the pains. Pains means this is in the way. Yeah, this is an obstacle. This is a barrier. This is a challenge for my customer to reach their goal. Yeah, so my customer wants A, but there are a lot of challenges on the way to actually reach A. These are the pains. Then we're looking at the gains. The gains means, so what does the customer want? How does the customer feel, or how does it look like when the customer reaches his or her goal? Sometimes the gains and the pains, or often actually, are a bit similar and go very much hand in hand, obviously. Also, don't get confused by it. Don't get stuck at it. This is a framework. It's not, the point is not to fill it 100% correct, but rather fill our ideas into the framework to become much more critical. Yeah, but it will be clear, I'm sure, when we go into an example. So this is our customer. Yeah, the circle is our customer. Now we move over to the product or the service. So what you're offering, yeah, that is basically your idea right now. The product is our box. Yeah, you see now on the very left, you see products and services. So this is really now what you want to offer. This can be one idea you have at a moment or more ideas. And then you see down the pain relievers. Yeah, you see also the small icon that looks like a drug, like a pill. So that basically means what's the medicine for the pains? What's the medicine for the obstacles or the challenges the customer is facing? And here it means what are the features of your product? Yeah. Or what are the details of your service? So what are the details of your idea that relieves the pain of the customer? Let's say you can really imagine it. The customer is sick and I give the customer now a drug, and that will reduce headache, it will reduce sore throat, and it will make the customer more energized again. Yeah, so really there should be a match. And then lastly, we look at the gain creators. So the gain creators are now features or details of your products or service that bring the gains to the customer. So gains again meant like what is the ideal outcome for the customer when he or she achieved his or her goal. So gain creator means what are details or features that make the customer to gain, yeah, to get what they want to get. Again, gain creators and pain relievers, they can be sometimes very similar. Don't get worried here, don't get stuck. The most important point is really that our different pain points and the different wishes and desires of the customers really match with the features of my product or the details or the functionalities of the service I'm offering. That's the key framework. And we're going to fill it now with the example of SafeBorder. So we're just going to do it a bit general. There might be a lot of other points. I'm also not part of the SafeBorder team, so there might be some things I don't know as well. But we're going to look at it from the outside, like customers, yeah? Because I think most of us, we have used SafeBorder, so we have actually very good perspective. And I would like to use the chat to do that together. And we are going to start with the customer, so with our circle. And we start with the customer jobs, so the goal. So my first question for you is, why are we using SafeBorder? What is our goal? Can you share with me in the chat? What is our goal when we're using SafeBorder? Okay, I see safe, cheaper, safe. Okay, awesome. This is again so fast. But I saw a few people also said the right thing, what we put under customer jobs, and that was getting from A to B. Yeah, getting from A to B, that is the customer job of SafeBorder. Not yet that it's safe, not yet that it's cheap. That's not the goal. The goal, why I'm using SafeBorder, is I want to go from A to B. I want to go to town. That's why I'm using SafeBorder, okay? So that's the customer job. I want to go from A to B. Now, when I could now use also a regular border, yeah? I can use my own car. I can use maybe a bus. What are the pains? What are the challenges I'm facing to get from A to B? Let's say me, I'm right now in Kansanga, and I want to go from Kansanga to Makerere. What are the challenges I'm facing? Okay, I see traffic jam. What else? Accidents, reckless borders, overly taxi, accidents, rain, robbers, price fluctuation, time consuming, delays, high charges, time management. Awesome. So there are a lot of challenges that we are facing. That is great. And I can't take now all of them, but I think when let's take, for example, the point of safety, there are a lot of accidents. Then we can say jam. Then we can say high prices. And as you said, there are a lot of other points. They're all great. Awesome. So I think the pains we got very well. Now we are looking at the gains. As I said, pains and gains are sometimes a bit similar. So can you share with me now in the chat, what do you think are gains? So that means once I got from point A to point B successfully, how does it make me feel? Or how does a great moving experience basically look like? Can you give me some points in the chat? Good customer care, trusted drivers, cheaper, convenience, you save money, satisfied, protection, organized, guaranteed safety. Yeah, there are a lot of really good points. Let me share my screen again. Great. So you see now on my screen, I just added a few of our points. You already put a lot of really good points. I think I just took out 2 key points right now for the gains. For me, that would be I pay a fair price and I reach safely. Then I'm satisfied already. And you see the points I took right now as challenges would be high speed to accidents, bargaining is annoying, robbery at night. But you had a lot of other really, really awesome points that could be included here as well as pain points. Awesome. So this is basically the customer. Yeah, this is how the customer feels. We know now these are the challenges. We know what the customer wants, getting from point A to point B and to reach safely. And in the end, paying a fair price. Let's look now at the other side. Yeah, now we are looking from the perspective of the entrepreneur. So what is our product or service? Let's start from there. In case of SafeBorder, it's now a bit straightforward, but what is our product? What is our service here? Okay, Bridget said it first. The mobile app, the SafeBorder mobile app and the transportation service. That basically is right now the service here, yeah, because we're looking at SafeBorder. And we're only looking at the transport feature of SafeBorder. I know that SafeBorder also has now more features, but we're focusing on that. Okay, now I want to look at the pain relievers, yeah. And I want you now to look at maybe just the key points that we have written down under pains. The high speed to accident, bargaining is annoying, and robbery. What are now pain relievers that SafeBorder is offering? What are features of the app or what are elements in their service that are relieving the pains that we have written down? You could share with me that in the chat. Fixed prices. Ivan says fixed prices. That solves the problem of bargaining. Helmet, says Alexandra. That solves the problem of accidents. Helmet. They have the address. You can estimate the cost. Many payment methods. Boost customer care. Yeah, I saw the identity of the riders is known, for example. That again solves the problem of robbery at night. They are branded. Yeah, they have the name on the I think they have the number on the helmet and they have the name on their reflector jacket. So these are again pain relievers. Yeah. So all these key points that you just meant, these are solving some of the pains that we have mentioned before. Okay, now I want to look at the gain creators. So at the gain creators, we said here right now, paying a fair price. This is one gain creator, and we want to reach safely. So what are gain creators now? And I said already before, sometimes gain creators and pain relievers can be very similar. But what would be here gain creators. Yes, Edwin says the helmet. Exactly. The helmet again would be a gain creator. At the same time, it's also pain reliever, but that's fine. What else? Fair price rates, the Celestine. Yes, so that's also, for example, a gain creator for paying a fair price. Awesome. So let me show you how this can look. You see how the points I put here. So for me, I said, okay, the helmet is a pain reliever for the high speed that leads to accidents. Then registered borders, reduce the robbery at night. We have the fixed prices that could also be a pain reliever, as we said before. And then we have up there as gain creators, fixed prices that give the gain of paying a fair price. And trained drivers I have here, for example, that also contributes to reaching my gain, my desire, that is to reach safely. As you said, there are much more points that we could also have included here, but I just wanted to pick out these key points to illustrate very clearly for you how the gains and the pains really must match together, yeah? And this is something you can really ask yourself very critically. The ideas you have, are they matching exactly with the pain points? And I think Dennis said also that this is going to be a very key point at the pitch competition. If your gains and your pains, are they matching? Because many times, entrepreneurs don't have to match. They don't have to match. And we want you to have to match, yeah? So ask yourself if you have to match. After the session, we are also going to share the slides, and we're also going to share a template for the value proposition canvas that you can fill it on your own, and you can fill it with your own idea and really ask yourself, is the match really there? Okay, I want to go into a bit more deeper into the value proposition canvas and do a bit of a practical together. And I want you for that to draw the value proposition canvas on a piece of paper right now, so you can really think with me, yeah? So I put the canvas for you here. I give you now 2 minutes. Just draw it on a piece of paper very quickly, so you can really actively think with me and you're not just listening, but you really internalize the entire canvas, because I have another really nice example for us to work on together. I give you 2 minutes and then we continue. Okay, I request you give me a done in the chat once you have, perfect. I see some have it already. Okay, I see a question here from Angel, but I don't get the question. Maybe Angel, you could rephrase your question again. So I can get it, and I'm happy to answer on it, but I don't get it. So Keen Angel, please just write your question again. I'm happy to answer it. Done. Okay, I see a lot of dones. Whew, enough dones, I think, to move on. Okay, great. So what I want you to do for a moment is to use really a moment now to reflect for yourself. Before we move into another examples, I want to give you a short moment of really reflecting, yeah, on your own business. So I want you to fill now the customer profile with the findings that you had from your interviews. We asked you earlier how many interviews you have done, and you had a lot of interviews. Or even if you have just done 2 interviews so far, you use the findings from that. And I want you to feel just this circle right now, yeah? Think through and think, what is really the major goal of your customer? What is really the need that you found out? What do they want? What are the pains on their way? And what are the gains for them, yeah? So just fill it out. I give you 2 more minutes to just reflect on your own business. And then maybe 1 or 2 people can share in the chat with us. But I really want you to reflect on your own business before we move into another example. So I give you 2 minutes again to reflect on your own business for now. And just fill the circle for now. I see one great question right now from Kevin, but I also saw that Dennis mentioned if you have questions, use the Q&A facility. But Kevin mentioned for someone making a marketplace, doesn't that make the customers too in nature? And that's very true, especially when both are paying. Let's say when you're at the marketplace in the middle, if you earn from both, yeah, from both sides for the connection. And what you can do, you can color code, for example, in your box, and you can split it up. You can just make a line and divide again the gains, the pains, and the customer jobs. So let me show you what I mean. So what we can do, we can split the gains, the pains, and the customer jobs, for example, and then you could fill one side always for the one side. Let's say we call it now maybe customer 1, that's the provider. Let's say I'm selling clothes on this platform, so I am customer 1 and I have certain gains and pains. And then we have customer 2, who is the buyer, yeah, and that I'm connecting the other one with. And then I would just use a different color and fill the rest as well. You could still fill the pains, you could still fill the gains and so on, but you have both in one, yeah? Just use different simple methods like that to portray your own business. And Aloysius also asked if we must capture only one customer job. No, if you have multiple jobs, that is also okay. You can also capture more than one customer job. Just important is again the focus, yeah? What is the most important customer job? Or maybe the most important is 1, 2, 3 customer jobs, that we have a bit of focus, because if we solve everything again, then probably our solution becomes very generic and we want to really make a really innovative and specific solution. So you can put more than one customer job, but still stay specific, maybe 3. Yes, so also Joel asked more than 1 point. Okay, now for example, Marriott put in the chat, my customers are in need of organically produced vegetables that can easily be accessible at a low cost. Okay, so let's say Marriott says her customers need organically produced vegetables. Now I'm asking, what's the pain? Like, why are they not getting it already? Why are they not just going to the next market and buying them? So here we would now make it specific. What are the pains? If you don't know them, talk to your customer. And then what are the gains? Like, how would the ideal experience look like? So for example, is that accessing produced vegetables without even leaving my home? Or is that having a variety of different vegetables every week? I don't know. This could be multiple things. I don't know your customer. That's why you need to speak to them. Yeah. So that was for Marriott. I see also the question of, I think the explanations are not basing on medical business ideas. Maybe Ian, maybe you could make your idea a bit more specific. What is your medical business idea? Then I can try to address it better, because I'm sure it also applies to medical business ideas. So just share with me maybe your idea in a bit more detail, then I can talk about it more. Okay, so my customer wants pork, but can't have it at any time of convenience, affordable housing for everyone. My customers need quality, local, and affordable videos. They also need access to video equipment for hire at reasonable prices. Okay, guys, this is good, but I need you to become even better, yeah? What I see right now is just most of you wrote a general bigger need. Affordable housing for everyone. That's a bigger need. But I want you to think through what are really the challenges. So what are the challenges to access affordable housing? Where are the challenges? What are the pains exactly here? Yeah, we have to go deeper than that. Let's take another one. Okay, I think we are going to go into an example first, and then we're going to reflect on our own businesses again. Okay, I see. Okay, it's a bit difficult to get all your points very well in the chat. I think some of you, they're already becoming now a bit more specific. But I want you still to become better, yeah? And that's also okay, that is a process. When I was a student and I filled my first value proposition canvas, it also wasn't great, probably. So that's okay. Let's not get stressed about it. We're going to do an example now first, and then we're going to go back to your businesses and see if we can improve what we have so far. Okay, so I still want you to draw another value proposition canvas on a piece of paper. So you can fill with me another example that is not your business, yeah? So I give you 1 minute again. Quickly draw the circle, draw the box, make the lines. It's very fast, and then we can move on, okay? I give you 1 minute for that. Please give me again a done in the chat once you have drawn another canvas so we can fill an example. Okay, you're fast, that's good. Okay. Let's move to okay. I want you to, we are looking now at the example of, let's call him Gilbert. This is Gilbert. Gilbert is a tomato farmer, okay? And let's look at his customer side. You see here, I put over the customer segment of our value proposition canvas some blocks already. And his major goal, his major need is to earn more income. He honestly doesn't care exactly what he does, but he needs to earn more income. So what are his challenges in earning more income? At the moment, he's selling tomatoes, yeah? However, one problem is the tomato skin is very delicate. So the post-harvest loss is very high because the tomatoes easily, yeah, the skin breaks and then the tomato rots very quickly. That's one challenge he's facing. Another challenge is tomatoes need a lot of sun, and sometimes there's a lot of rain in his region, so the tomatoes are not growing so well. Another challenge that he's facing is the tomato prices are fluctuating, and it's difficult for him to predict how much money he's really going to get. And another problem he's facing is that the transport to the city is very expensive. Yeah, so these are the challenges that I found out, and this is what we look at. Yeah, then what does he really want? Like, what are the gains? What is he dreaming about? And what he wants is to have stable income, not to worry about money, and being able to pay the school fees for his children. Yeah. So this is what we're looking at. This is Gilbert. This is Gilbert's profile right now. Okay. And I want us now to think through what could be a solution for Gilbert. Let's do a quick ideation session together in the chat. What could be a solution? And I want you to think really out of the box and very wild, but related to the problems that you see here. Yeah. What could be a solution for Gilbert? You don't have to solve all problems, but a few of the problems should be solved with your solution. So let's do an ideation session in the chat. What could we as an entrepreneur offer now Gilbert? Okay, I see greenhouse farming, greenhouses for sunshine. Okay, a lot of people put greenhouse. Value addition, getting a company he can supply for, proper packaging, greenhouse, seed selection, value addition. Okay, nice. I want you. Diversity is farming, catch-up, vertical farming, ready market, joint venture, get wooden box for carrying. Okay, app solution. Okay, what app solution? Guys, make it more specific. What is your app doing for Gilbert? Also, someone said value addition. What value addition? Become more specific. Yeah, I know these are all keywords we know. App, value addition, but what exactly? Become very specific. I'm going to be very critical on that. And I tell you the judges at the pitch day as well. You must know the solution very well. Irrigation farming, proper packaging. Proper packaging, what? How does the proper packaging look like? What proper packaging? E-commerce for predict prices. Whew. Okay, go to international market, make tomato sauce instead. Okay, branding. Okay. Nice. A lot of really, really amazing solutions. Let's show you what I got so far. And you will find some of your solutions in my solutions as well. My solution number one would be proper packaging, a tomato, I would call it a tomato safety box. Yeah. And now I show you how I feel the value proposition canvas for my tomato safety box. You see here now, we still have the circle is exactly what we had talked about earlier. Yeah, you still see the same profile of Gilbert. And then you see on the left side that my idea is now that I want to offer Gilbert a tomato safety box to transport tomatoes better. And now when we go to the pain relievers, you see now the features of the box. So my box is going to have a cooling effect. I'm going to use some technology that will keep the box always cool, even if it's transported over very long distances in the sun. That is solving the problem of that the tomato skin is very delicate. And I'm also going to put some cushion in this box that is also going to solve the problem of the tomato skin is very delicate. Right now, I'm not solving the problem of sun. I'm not solving the problem of prices. I'm not solving the problem of transport, but it's fine because my solution is just tackling the very problem of the tomato skin. Obviously, I would now have to check with Gilbert if that's a solution he's interested in. And I would need to check with Gilbert if he would pay for this box and how much I could charge. And I would need to find out how I can produce this box. But these are questions for later. Yeah. Right now, we're just focusing on our ideas. But you see, and that's the key thing I want you to see is how my box is solving exactly that problem. How we have a very strong match between my pain relievers and the pain. Now we're looking at the gain. My gain is simple. He can sell more tomatoes because more tomatoes, the post-harvest loss is reduced and more tomatoes reach the city. And that already creates more stable income, hopefully so much more income that he can pay the school fees for his children and he doesn't have to worry anymore. Obviously, these are right now just my assumptions that the post-harvest loss would be so much reduced, but I want you really to get here how the blocks are interconnected. That's only solution number one. That's just one solution. And as we said earlier, for each problem, there can be many, many, many solutions. So let's look at my solution number two. My solution number two is training farmers in tomato sauce production. I think that's also what some of you said, value addition to make tomato sauce. When we're looking now at our value proposition canvas, how would that look like? Again, on the right side, we stay with the exact same profile of Gilbert. He has still the same problems. He has still the same wishes, the same gains, yeah? Now, we start with the product or service. So here we say what my business is going to do. I'm going to train farmers in tomato sauce production. And I'm also going to provide them the equipment they need for tomato sauce production. So what are now the pain relievers? My pain reliever here, number one is I do value addition. So there's less post-harvest loss, yeah? Because I'm using the tomatoes right away. So they can't even get spoiled so quickly. So I'm solving that problem already. And tomato ketchup is normally less sensitive to price fluctuation, especially when I have a really good product that's on the shelf. The price fluctuations are definitely less than when I sell fresh tomato. So already I'm solving that problem as well. Now, when you're looking at the gains, I said here, tomato sauce can be sold to higher prices. That will give more income to Gilbert. And again, you see, we have a match here between the gains that Gilbert needs. He can pay school fees. He has more stable income. He doesn't have to worry anymore. Again, at this point of time, these are assumptions. I don't know if it's true, but this is what I assume right now. And we're going to test it in reality. We're going to find it out. We're going to validate. But at this point of time, the key thing is your solution that you have in mind really matching? Yeah. And again, this was solution number two. And you see it's very different than the first solution, even though it's still focusing on the same customer with a set of problems. Let's look at my solution number three. And some of you also had this idea to venture into or to go into greenhouse farming. And I thought Gilbert probably doesn't have a lot of money if he's a small scale farmer. So I want to have a solution for him that is very, very cheap to make. Also, I think climate change is a very huge topic, and we should always try to find solutions also for that. So my idea was, why not making a greenhouse, but we use recycled materials and we make it from plastic bottles. So how would my value proposition canvas now look like? We still have the same profile on the right. Gilbert has the same problems, has the same gains. When we look at the left side, my idea here, what my business is going to do, I'm going to build local greenhouses with the farmers together, made from recycled plastic bottles, and the farmers only pay after a successful harvest. So they don't have to incur the costs. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's my idea right now. How are my pain relievers now going to solve the problem? So you see here, we have a stable climate in the greenhouse. The temperature is very constant. So that solves the problem of tomatoes needing a lot of sun. Also, the greenhouse will prevent tomatoes to get diseases. So that will also decrease my loss of my tomato harvest. Again, you see the exact details are solving very particular problems of Gilbert. When we look at the gains, what do we have here? Like in the examples before, now more tomatoes can be sold and the problems of Gilbert can be solved. The gains for Gilbert can be created. And obviously, we can now continue ideating. Actually, while I was telling you these examples, I kept thinking in my head and I thought, if Gilbert's key thing is that he needs to pay school fees for his children, Maybe I can even add some extra benefit in my model, where I have maybe partnership with schools, and farmers that work with my business can even get a discount or can save for school fees, or I don't know what. I'm also just ideating right now. I don't know if it makes sense, but just what I want to show you is to really let your mind circle around the problems and the needs and the desire of the person you want to target. And the more specific you can make this, yeah, the better it's going to be. And all these solutions, I've just ideated myself as well. But what I wanted to show you is how many different solutions. These are just 3 solutions, but the value proposition canvas looks different, how it could look like. And this is now, again, what I want you to do with your own example, yeah? That you I see the chat again, that you look through your own business again, and we map again out first the customer circle, and then after that we map out the box, yeah? And I want you to become as specific as I'm here. So we're going to do that again for your own business. I give you now again 2 minutes or maybe even 5, and you think through your own business and make it very specific, okay? What is the goal? What does your customer really want? What are the challenges and what are the desires? And I would request that you share that like that in the chat. I'm going to write now to you how I want you to share with me in the chat, that we really become specific, yeah? So you can write goal of customer, XY, XY, XY. Then you write challenges / pain, XY, XY, XY. And then we write gains, wishes, XY, XY, XY. So you see how I posted it in the chat. I want you to analyze your business and write it like that in the chat. So I don't want now anyone to type here, my business idea is value addition to spinach. But I want you to become specific. What's the goal of the customer? What are the challenges and pains? What are the gains and wishes? You can copy my text, fill your own points in, and then you send it to me. And I give you comments. So let's take 5 minutes to do that, to really reflect on your business now. Okay, Tom, I want you to use my template, what I just posted in the chat. You said human medicine pharmacy to sell safety and affordable medicines. Please use my template. What's the goal? What are the challenges? What are the gains? Become super specific here. Perfect. So Patrickson posted it again. And now just fill it, please. You can copy it and edit it in your own chat. Okay, Damba is asking a good question. My question is, do we need to have separate value proposition canvas for every objective of the idea? Say improving crop output, improving marketability. That's a good point. I think it's a bit open how you want to do it. You can have in one value proposition canvas, you can have multiple customer jobs. So the multiple objectives, I think how I understood that. So marketability, crop, and so on. I think what I would also do again is like to use color coding so that it's very clear. Let's say this is the customer need, these are the challenges, and this is my solution, so that it's clear how the different parts are interconnected. Or you can also fill a value proposition canvas for each different objective to also first look at maybe all the different parts and maybe also decide if you really want to do all at once or if you want to focus on one area first. I think both is possible, whatever helps you also to structure yourself and your idea very well. But maybe color coding in one canvas can help. Or you make it with a little star or a little triangle or something if you don't have colors. Okay, let me see. I see Raphael here copied me. Oof, this is moving. Where's Raphael? Here. Goal of customer: have personal investment. Challenges are poverty, meager pay. Gains are pay bills like fees, feeding, etc. Raphael, I would challenge you to become more specific. Poverty is very generic. What's really the challenge? Also, meager pay is also very generic. Maybe one rule that you can apply when you look at challenges is the 5 whys rule. What the 5 whys rule mean is that you ask yourself always, why is that? So Raphael says, a challenge is poverty. So we can ask ourselves, why is that? So let's say the person has a low income job. Then we can again ask ourselves, why is that? And we can make it a bit more specific. What is really, really the challenge? Because poverty is very generic. So let's try to become more specific in our challenges. And what I also think is if your challenges are very generic, you might have not spoken to the customers too much. And I would encourage you just to do it. There's no shame if you haven't done it. I think that's also why you're part of this ideathon. Just do it. Just do it also before the pitching. I'm telling you, the judges will have much more, will favor you much more if you've done a lot of interviews instead if it's just something that is very generic. Okay, so I have peace has something specific, I think, here. So the goal is have a healthy premature baby with no complications. The challenges that I hear are baby faces, hypothermia, difficulty breathing, and breastfeeding. Gains are premature, able to breastfeed well, kept warm, and breathe well. That's a very good example. So I don't know what the solution of peace is, but I understand the challenge and I see there are very specific points. And I'm curious now to see her books and to see how is she now solving that problem. So that's a really good example. Well done, Peace. What else? Okay, so we have Lee. This is Lee. Can't see the whole name, and I don't dare to pronounce your last name. Tumviuche. So the goal here we have the goal of the customers: high productivity. The challenges and pains are lack of access to credit and improved agricultural inputs. The gains are to send their children to school, run the agriculture projects. It's good, but you can be better. The challenges and the pains, I think, can be even more split up and maybe a bit more specific, because if the goal is high productivity, there might be more challenges than access to credit. Why access to credit? What do they need it for? Maybe you put that, because that would give you also more ideas, maybe for other solutions than just giving the money. And improved agricultural inputs. Yeah, that's already a really good point. Maybe one thing that could be interesting is if you would ask yourself, can you start with a maybe specific group of farmers? Are you talking about coffee farmers or about matoke farmers? So what are we looking at? Because that also might be a bit different. It might not be across all farmer groups the same. Okay, let me take out one more example. I want to see if we have somewhere a manufacturing example. Let me scroll through. Okay, maybe this one could be a product. I'm not sure if Fred's solution is a product, but I see here something around coffee. So Fred says the goal of the customer is to have a good quality coffee cup And the challenges are poor primary coffee processing. And the gain is to have good graded coffee at a fair price. So I think here I would say this is a product business, probably. I'm not sure. But you see, I think the challenges maybe could be again a bit more split up, because here we only have as a challenge, it's poor primary coffee processing. But what you could, maybe you could make it a bit more specific in terms of the coffee is not fine enough because of poor primary coffee processing, for example. Even though I'm here wondering, for example, are there not a lot of existing alternatives already? What's really the problem maybe also with existing alternatives? Yeah, but maybe it's not the best example right now. Let me scroll one more time. Okay, maybe before I go into product, I found one example I just want to point out again, and then I will go make one product example. And then I give you time to digest, I think, what we've learned today. I see from Collins. Collins said the goal is eco-friendly textile and crafts. The challenge is pollution, and the gains is pollution mitigation. For me, why I want to point it out is because it's one way of, or I see here a common mistake. So no offense, Collins, please. It's a mistake that a lot of people do, but I just want to point it out so we can all just become better and learn and get ready for the pitch. The goal sounds very much like a product already, yeah? Because you say eco-friendly textile and crafts. I think that's the solution. I think that's what you're doing. But what's really the need? What does the customer want? So for example, for me, I care a lot about climate change and the environment. So I really would want eco-friendly clothes. Eco-friendly clothes where the impact of pollution is reduced. But that would be the goal. That would be my need. Me, I'm not interested in crafts, to be honest. So I would really separate that also, the textile and the crafts, because I think these address very different needs of customers. So yeah, so let's keep the goal maybe. I want eco-friendly clothing. So what are my challenges? My challenges are not pollution. That's the environmental challenge that we're solving. But we need to look at the customer. What's the customer's challenge? My customer, me, and I'm serious, this is really something I seriously want. And my challenge is, I don't know where to buy eco-friendly clothes in Uganda. I don't know. I just know all these Chinese products I don't want to buy. I know the secondhand clothes at the market. I also don't want to buy. So I would want to buy. So my challenge would be, I don't know where to buy them, simply, actually. I don't know if they even exist in Uganda. If they exist, I don't know where they are. If they don't exist, yeah, then they don't exist yet in Uganda. And what would be my gain? I think my gain would be that I feel awesome because I'm wearing comfortable, eco-friendly clothes. I feel good because I look good. And at the same time, I feel conscious. I feel happy because I know that I'm wearing eco-friendly clothes that have very little harm or zero harm, ideally, on the environment. From there, I can now think through, okay, how can I make now products for Laura, for that kind of customer segment, yeah? But don't put that already into your customer profile side. And really look always at the customer problems, especially when you do a business in environment and pollution and stuff like that. Look at the customer. Don't only look at the pollution problem. We all know that pollution is a problem. If you have a solution for that, it's awesome. But you need to look at the market, and the market is the customer. So the value proposition canvas really needs to stress out the match between the customer, the problem. And the customer means the one is paying, and the problem is something the customer faces themselves personally. Okay, I hope that that became clear. And actually that was also an example for a product already, because here our product would be eco-friendly clothes. And my challenge is I don't know how to access them, but I want them, as I said, because I want to have a clean consciousness and I want to look good. Yeah. And now in the next steps, we would look at our other books and can now think through what could be different ways of doing it. And once again, I want to encourage you to think not only about one solution and get stuck at one solution already. Remember Gilbert, our tomato farmers, and we had many different solutions for Gilbert. So I want to encourage you to keep doing that as well. Don't get stuck on one solution, but let your mind explore. Okay, I see a lot of other points. I can't go through all of them now, but I hope we really exhausted this now and you have a much clearer understanding of how to fill your own value proposition canvas. And let me, maybe let me share a few more lights of what next. What do we do after we filled our value proposition canvas? You see it here in red, in capital letters. I think I said it many times today as well. Do not fall in love with your idea. Do not, don't. Sometimes we have to kill our darling, our first idea. It's maybe not the best idea. And please try. I know it's super hard. If we have an idea, we love the idea, and we talk to people and friends and they say it's awesome, but don't get stuck. Maybe it's a great idea, maybe not. So really stay flexible in your mind. Secondly, and that's again very, very, very important. And again, this is something investors look at, judges are going to look at your pitch deck. Talk to your customers and share your idea with them. I noted earlier, Janita said, when you talk to your customers, don't talk about your idea. But what she meant there was, when you find out the problem, yeah, then don't introduce your solution already. But here we are now already assuming that you've talked to your customers, you understand their problems already. And now we want to share the idea with them. So let's take my example of Gilbert, the tomato farmer. Let's assume I interviewed 20 farmers, 20 tomato farmers, and I confirmed that a key problem is the post-harvest loss and a key problem is limited sunshine. However, they said, nah, the prices to the market it's not a problem. Actually, they have figured out their logistics already. So maybe they say it's not a problem. Then I can tick it off, cross it off my value proposition canvas. Yeah. So now the point is I want to share with them my different ideas. So one idea I have is you remember we had the greenhouse idea, we had the value addition idea of making tomato ketchup and training them in tomato ketchup making. And we had the idea, what was my other idea? The box, the box to keep the tomatoes in shape. So what I now want to do before I go into producing these things or invest more time into it, I want to talk to them again and show them my idea and get feedback from them. And get feedback also of what they like and what they don't like. And please don't sell your idea here. It's not a pitch. We don't want to enforce our idea on them, but we want to get their honest feedback of what they like about it and what they don't like. And maybe they say, no, all these 3 ideas are not working for me. Or maybe they say, yeah, it's a nice idea, but I'm not willing to spend money for it. Yeah. Or they say, yeah, no, I have a better idea. Or maybe they can give you even ideas, yeah? The key thing is really talk to your customers, get immediate feedback on the solution, what works for them, what doesn't work for them. And it's sometimes painful, but it's the way to go, yeah? And it's the way how to minimize loss of resources because you're not wasting time or money in building something that no one wants in the end. So how can you do that? How can you share ideas? What I would always recommend you is when you share your ideas that you have a visual representation of your idea. It can be as simple as you draw your idea on paper. The thing is, human beings are visual. Yeah, that's also why you like to see slides. That's why you like to see me while I'm talking and not only look at the black screen without a camera. It's not the same. The understanding is not the same. And what we want to achieve is that our customers understand to 100% what we're talking about. Because only if they understand fully what we mean, they can give us relevant feedback. Because if they give us feedback on something they don't get, yeah, it doesn't help, right? So I think what often happens is we share an idea. I tell someone, so my idea is we make a greenhouse out of plastic bottles where you can grow your tomato plants in. And I just tell them without showing the picture. And they might just say, yeah, it's a nice idea. I appreciate the idea. But they don't really get my idea. They don't really see it. So I'm not sure if they really like my idea, how I see it, or they just say it to be polite. Yeah. But if I have a picture or a drawing, they can give me much better feedback and they can say, ah, no, this looks very weird. I don't want this. Or they can say, yeah, it's nice, but I'm scared that when it rains heavily, that it will not hold. Or this is a lot of work and I think it will get broken quickly. Whatever feedback they might have, or they say, this is awesome, let's do it. Yeah. So really bring something visual with them and it will really help you in getting valid feedback. And that's of your interest, right? You're the entrepreneur. You want to build the business. You must have the best feedback from your customers. So what are the next steps? We have this 1 week of bootcamp. And I just want to encourage you to use this 1 week to really shape out your idea as much as possible until the pitch day. So minimum, talk to 5 customers and get feedback about your ideas, maybe even more, ideally more. And already find out if they want to change something in the idea, if this idea is really solving that problem or not. And also find out if they would pay money for it, yeah? Dennis shared with us earlier the business model Canvas. And you know that there's this part of the revenue stream, right? How do we make money? So we want to confirm that our customers are even willing to pay for our solution. If they're not, it's not a business, unfortunately, yeah? So this is something you can find out also in talking to your customers already, if they would be willing to pay for such a product or not. And lastly, I want to show you 2 slides for your pitch deck already. That is one. So what I think Jonita earlier shared with us, how she would feel or how you would feel in your pitch deck, yeah, your presentation that you will need to pitch your idea at the end. That is the slide on the problem. So what's the problem you're solving and for whom are you solving your problem? The customer. And then we want also a slide on the solution. So what's the solution? So here we use an example of a hostel buddy system where university students can find a hostel room online. So this is, for example, how it could look like. So you show a picture of the solution and you explain how it works. And here again, you can use the feature from the value proposition canvas, your pain relievers, yeah? So the elements that will solve the problem that you have talked about before. And then we would also recommend to have a slide where you show exactly how does it work? Like how does your solution really work? So when you pitch to the judges or you pitch to any other people in future, no matter if these are partners you want to get on board or team members or investors, it's really key that step by step your audience understands what you're talking about. So this would be our recommendation. And let me just emphasize this point again before I close, and I'm happy to answer a few more questions if they are there. Talk to your customers. And to reflect back to the session Janita gave us in the beginning, understand the problem first, understand who exactly is your customer segment, and then come up with a solution, fill your value proposition canvas, make sure the problem and the solution match with all the small connections. These are the key things. And talk to your customers again to find out if the problem really solves their problem, the solution really solves their problem, and if they would pay money for it. These are the key steps we would recommend you to take to really shape out your idea further. I would love to hear from you. The pitch. Okay, yeah, let me share the last 3 slides. I think that was a bit confusing. Sorry about that. So
yeah, Laura, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
We're going to
Yes.
do, I'll facilitate the Q&A. So I don't know whether you want to do that now, or I'll let you share the last
Perfect.
slide, and then I can help you to facilitate the Q&A.
Perfect, great.
Oh.
Thank you, Dennis. Great. So the last 2 slides, there was a bit confusion. Honestly, I maybe would even say, let's leave the last 2 slides for now. I think there will be an extra session on pitching by Macquarie Incubation Innovation Center, as far as I know, and they will tell you everything you need to know for the pitching session and so on. So let's leave these 2 slides for now alone. I think it's not relevant right now, but let's focus on these key takeaways of the value proposition canvas, understanding the problem, coming up with a solution, making sure there's a match, and getting feedback from your customers. I think that's okay for now. Yes, Dennis, so you can help me with the Q&A.
Awesome, Laura. Thank you so much. We've interacted a number of times, but I had never appreciated how fantastic of a facilitator you are. This has been really brilliant. I've delivered value proposition canvases myself, but I love the way you've dug so deep in quite a number of examples from safe border to agriculture. So I hope really that all the participants actually enjoyed it. I've been looking at some of the questions that have been coming in from a number of participants. Maybe this is one of them that I can actually talk about. Maybe before I share this screen, actually, there is a better screen to share of how the flow of this session is going to look like. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we see it. Fantastic.
So someone did ask for the flow of things, and I also shared this screenshot yesterday. This information has also been on our website, and we've sent a number of emails about the flow. So this is the flow. Yesterday we had this session, which was myself, Dwayne Reed, and Patrick Mugi talking about intellectual property. Today we've had a fantastic session by Laura, and Matthias wasn't here, but Laura and her colleague. And what they've been talking about is actually feeding into the session for tomorrow, which is the business model canvas. And the purpose of the business model canvas, which is what I'm going to share with you, just if you bear with me 1 second. Wait a minute. Can you see my screen? I'm trying to, oh, here we go. Sorry, Laura, can you see my screen?
Yes, I see it.
Fantastic. So for the benefit of the participants, all the stuff that Laura has been talking about, the vast majority of it is really in this section. Vast majority of it is in this section. I know Laura was also talking about understanding your customer, and some of you were asking questions like, do we do different value proposition canvases for different customer segments? Potentially, yes, because the customer pains, for instance, if you're talking about tourism and you're looking at 2 segments, the pains of a retired tourist person are going to be different from that of a university student. you know, so you may want to do differently, but you need to look at your customer segments very clearly. So the vast majority of what Laura has been talking about falls within this place. Tomorrow, everything that Laura has been talking about will form the basis of the other aspects. So we now know that you have a brilliant idea, you're solving a real problem, but is there a business within your problem? Can you make this thing happen? Are we going to make money at the end of it all? So that is a brief session about what you can expect tomorrow. The other thing to mention, of course, is that I'm sorry, I'm having issues with my system here. Bear with me. Oh, good. I'm back. The other thing to mention is that you will be expected to produce 2 canvases. One is the value proposition canvas that Laura has articulated very well. The other one is the business model canvas. The reason these 2 are very important is that one leads to the other. So while you might have a good business model around an idea, the judges will want to look at the idea itself. And if you produce both of these, you're really in very good hands, and you get more brownie points, so to speak. So let's look into the questions at the moment. Laura, I looked at quite a number of questions. The vast majority of them we answered, but there are a few that I would like to ask you myself. Someone asked, or Team James, what's the difference between a need and a want? Laura.
Okay, interesting question. The difference between a need and a want. I think that's kind of similar. I think maybe what you can look at when we look at the canvas and we look at the difference between the, oops, I want to start my video, but that, okay, yeah. So I would maybe look at it from the pain, the difference maybe between the pains and the gains, yeah, because for me, need and want is, I think is, for me, it would be kind of in a similar category. So I think what me sometimes helps to also differentiate a bit is the pains are really problems I have, something that is really in my way, an obstacle. But the gain is a bit more beyond than just solving the obstacle. For me, the gain is also a bit more on what does it mean for my life, or how do I feel? Like what is the bigger picture for me personally? So when we talked about Safe Boda, for example, maybe a pain for me is let's say the bargaining. Yeah, I hate bargaining, so that's really a pain for me. And now the gain would be, but a bit bigger, that I reach my place without my destination, without a hustle, and I feel good about it. So that's a bit how I try to look at it. But if we just look at need and want, I would say for me they're a bit similar when we look at customers in general. I hope that helped a bit. That was a very specific question.
Thank you, Laura. I tend to describe the 2 almost in the same way, but a need is, I mean, like you need oxygen to breathe, just to live. But a want, I want a Mercedes, you know. I could survive without a Mercedes. So some are more important than others. There's a question from Rebecca Aholira. I'm doing value addition to help farmers reduce post-harvest. So what is my target group? Is it the farmer or the one going to use my product? That's Rebecca Aholira, that they're doing post-harvest losses. So I think, Laura, do you want to respond to this first?
Yeah, perfect. I like that question because I think that's a very common question. So the target group means who is your customer? Who is going to pay for the value addition? Yes, you work together with the farmers. I don't know your business model, but I assume you work together with the farmers and they do value addition, but then someone, or you do value addition, but then someone else is buying that product. And who is the someone else? Like, who are you selling that value-added product? When you look at our example of Gilbert, who makes tomato sauce, who are we selling that to? And this is the really, really important point you need to understand and need to find out. Because I feel many businesses fail because they produce something, they do value addition, but they don't have the market. Yeah. So target group here really means who would you sell that to? Would that be people in Kampala? Would that be retail shops? Even when we say people in Kampala, what kind of people would buy this very product? So that's the target group when we look at the customers, because they are going to pay for it. Obviously, you're going to work together with the farmers, and you find out the problems from the farmers. But as long as the farmers are not paying you, they are not your customers, but you work together with them. So you need to look at the market, definitely, so your value added product finds the market and not sits somewhere.
Thank you, Laura. Quite a number of questions. Let me go through a number of them. Most of you asking, do we submit just the business model canvas and the value proposition canvas, or both? My answer is you will need to submit both. And if you've gone through the value proposition canvas today, you really now understand why it's very important to submit both. And this is also going to be helpful for the judges, not just the judges, but the mentors. Once you get into the business incubation phase, you're going to find that all this information, we are on a journey. It starts with the idea, the business in the idea, and then you'll get structural support around some of these issues that we are addressing. Mayinja Bob is asking, are we supposed to make VPC for each idea? Yes, that's a short answer. For someone making a marketplace, doesn't that make the customer two in nature? For example, how Surfboarder has both riders and customers. That's a very interesting question, and it goes back to what we've been talking about, and Laura has alluded to this, your customer segments. If you look at even Uber, for instance, or Airbnb, there are two different types of customers you're looking at. One of them could be the guy who actually owns the house that is going to rent it out, or a car. In this case, Uber might have the guys who lend their cars, but then you also might have someone who doesn't have a car that wants to use an Uber available car, or then you also have a customer. So you need to be very clear who your customer segment is. Who are you actually targeting? And sometimes you can be very general and lose everything. The next question is from Alex Turanziomwe. Is it so fine to start a business having in mind to offer more than one service, or it should be specifically one service to customers? And I think I'll let Laura come in very briefly on this one, but I think back to the point we've been talking about, there's no point having a product or service for the whole world, especially if you're in a startup phase. It might be better for you to get traction by focusing on just that particular segment, and eventually you grow. So sometimes you start with one thing and then it develops into another. I'll give you a good example of Amazon. They started in a garage somewhere selling books or sending books back and forth. Now they are going into space. They provide you with your movies and music and Alexa and all sorts of things. But was Jeff Bezos having all those ideas at the time he started? No. He was working on something simple. So keep it simple at the very beginning. Now to Hamia Marriott. Good morning, Nace. I had Madame Laura talk about pitching. How is it to be done? I can answer this one actually very quickly. There's going to be two sessions because of the volume or the number of ideas that we're dealing with. We have 4,800 ideas. There's possibly no way we are going to be able to put you in a situation where people have to sit and listen to all these ideas. So the plan is to judge you based on the business model canvas and the value proposition canvas. And in fact, for those that will be lucky to be finalists, there are further plans to have some kind of almost like a TV show, if you like, where you guys will be invited to then pitch for bigger grants. Discussions are still ongoing with our development partners, the UNDP, to iron out the details of how many individuals will be invited to such an event, how much more money will be available for grants, because at the moment, the winner is going to get 100 million. But my understanding is that there is more money where that came from, but we're working on all these things. So you really have to make sure that for you to make the cut into the next wave, that things like your value proposition canvas and the business model canvas, you're demonstrating that you're at that level. So don't settle. There's more than we actually told you about, but those discussions are still ongoing. Next question, and by the way, could I ask my colleagues to help me rank the questions up, because I have 53 questions that need answering, and all of them have just one rank. So if all my fellow panelists, and there's about 6 of you, could please help me rank them up, it would help me to look at the questions that need immediate or most important attention. Perhaps one thing to note as well, we've had lots of questions about the digital platform. I don't know what happened today, but it looks like all of you went to the platform at the same time. So our IT systems, our IT colleagues are looking into this to address the issue. I think quite a number of you are not able to access the platform. So please bear with them. And I think sometimes with IT issues, once you fail and then you try again, there's almost about 600 of you trying at the same time. We suspect that's what has happened, but they're looking into it. So bear with us for a moment. And of course, the platform is where you will be submitting this value proposition canvas and the business model canvas itself. So back to the questions. Is it so fine? Oh, just another thing that kept coming through is, yes, you will receive the slides from today and yesterday. You will also receive the videos from yesterday and today. I understand that the videos are ready from yesterday. Today's video, we are hoping to have it ready by close of play today, because sometimes it has to be downloaded, edited and uploaded onto various platforms before it can be made available. So that will also be available. Keep an eye on your emails. Is it so fine to start a business model, start a business having in mind to offer more than one service? Or yeah, I think I've answered this one. Hello. If my idea serves different purposes, each purpose should have a VPC, for example, training farmers. And again, this goes back to the different customer segments. This is actually very important, maybe for all the participants who are listening in. It's really very important that you are very clear about your customer segment, because that determines everything else. It determines the kind of problems or the jobs that they're trying to do. It determines your solution for that matter. It determines how you bring your product to the market. So for instance, back to this tourism example I gave earlier, if you're dealing with the pensioners who are not very tech savvy, you might want to have a telephone service as opposed to an app, you know. So this is really very important to you, that you focus on particular customer segments. Chibazo Peter is talking about the challenge with the platform. Yes, that one is being resolved. Solimo, Dennis, is the value proposition canvas supposed to be partly included in the judging of ideas? Yes, the judges will look at both of them. And while the business model canvas is the most important, sometimes the value proposition canvas gives context to the business model canvas. In fact, you are meant to look at them in that order. Tom, hello. How are the canvases to be filled, in a box form or as illustrated or in any other form? By the way, there is no format in which you must complete the canvas. We're giving you the canvases as a guide. And I have tried to complete the value proposition canvas myself, if you look at the circles that Laura was using. And that is the standard Ostrovalder's value proposition canvas. However, sometimes it can be hard to put all the jobs that need to be done, all the pains in that little circle. So you're welcome to be creative, provided the format that you use is one that the judges can actually engage with. So for instance, you could use tables. You could use a Microsoft Word document or an Excel document and say, this is the customers, these are the customer segments, this is the jobs that need to be done, and so on and so forth. We can understand where you are coming from. But ideally, you want to use the standard canvases that everyone is using. You could print that canvas off and complete it with a piece of paper. I've had in the past where someone has completed the canvas in maybe an A3 form and then scanned it onto an A4 form. Sometimes it can look a bit smaller, but be as creative as you possibly want to. And especially some of the participants who are from the creative industry, they might have actually different ways of presenting their canvases. So do not be compelled to stick to one particular box. As I keep asking my colleagues to please rank the questions up, maybe I should call them out. Laura, no, Laura, you're one of those supposed to answer, but Lydia, please rank the questions up. Melissa, rank the questions up. Ivy, Peter, please help me and rank the questions up so that we can go through the most important ones, because at the moment we have 61. Same with Bana, Hadija, Dorothy, please, I would be most grateful for your support. Jennifer Chomogasho is saying, what if I can't access my customers at the moment? That's a very good question. It would be interesting to know the reason you cannot access your customers. Are they in prison? It's very hard. But by the time you're looking at the problem that needs to be solved, I don't know. Laura, do you want to respond to this one? Jennifer Chomogasho?
Awesome. Yeah, I think that is a difficult one, definitely. I think if there are some restrictions because of lockdown, then maybe you can still be creative, because I mean, even if you can't see them physically, I think you can even have phone calls, for example. So I think maybe become a bit creative, because if you can't access them at all, then I'm wondering if they are, like, how would they be accessible? I think it would be necessary to understand a bit better what's the reason right now. But if it's because of lockdown and COVID restrictions, try to find maybe other ways, like phone calls and so on. If these are customers that you in general can't access, then maybe it's not a good customer segment for now for you, because that's maybe also a point that we didn't stress out too much, but it's very important. Please use customer segments you can access and you can learn as much as possible. If you want to solve a problem now for people in Russia and you don't need people, you don't know them at all, and you can't speak to them, it's very unlikely that you're going to develop something that is really solving a problem. So yeah, either get creative or maybe think through if this is really the right customer segment right now. That would be my thought, I think.
No, I totally agree. And it's very unfortunate the situation we're dealing with regarding COVID. But how badly do you want this 100 million would be my answer. The next question is from Were Samson. What question should we ask the customers or clients? It really depends on the problem you're trying to solve. Some of the typical questions that you would have in an entrepreneurial landscape would be the 5 whys, for instance. If people are desperate for beer, why are they desperate for beer? Maybe because of lockdown. Why is there lockdown? Because of COVID-19. Why is there COVID-19? Because people are not wearing masks. Why are they not wearing masks? Because they cannot afford the masks. Why can't they afford the masks? If you keep asking about 5 times, you get the real cause of the problem. The other question to ask would be why, who, when, and things like that. But again, the questions asked really depend on the problem or the challenge that you're trying to solve. Eric Abal to Dennis. Since we will have a pitch, a value proposition canvas, and a business model canvas, will we have to submit them as 2 documents on the grant management webpage, or will we have to submit a pitch deck on presentation day? And since there are over 4,000 competitors, how will the pitching be handled? Very good question, Eric. One, you could actually have 2 canvases, one after the other. So page 1 could be the value proposition canvas. Page 2 could be the business model canvas, or you could upload them separately depending on the format that you've used. We're encouraging everyone, when you upload your documents, as much as possible, if you could use PDFs for various reasons, convert the document that you have into a PDF and then upload it. Of course, if you have both the value proposition canvas and the business model canvas in one document, albeit one page and the other, then it becomes easier for the judges. Maybe to explain how the judging process is going to work, we've assembled over 100 judges. These are seasoned experts in this space, as you can look at the numbers, because if you submit your ideas on Friday, we do not have too much time to go through this. So we had to get huge numbers of judges to go through the ideas very quickly. So, but each idea is going to be judged by 2 individuals so that we have fairness. And as well as the 2 judges, there's going to be a 3rd level of judging, which is what we're calling adjudication. And that will be conducted by NACE and the UNDP. So you are likely, your idea is going to be judged very fairly across the board. There will be 1 level of judging, 2nd level of judging, and 3rd level of adjudication to make sure that no one has slipped through the net, or maybe one of the judges is your father and we didn't know anything about it. So the judges will go through this, but as the point I was making earlier is that it is better that you have both documents in one document. So the value proposition canvas and the business model canvas in one document that you can upload, which might have different pages. That way, the judge is not going to miss the value proposition canvas. What you don't want is maybe to submit 2 documents and the judge maybe sees only one and wonders why the other was not uploaded. But you should not despair, because we had a session with the judges, who already updated them on how the judging is going to happen, on how you're going to submit your ideas. We've given them access to the digital platform. We're actually going to have another session with them. We'll put together a document to give them guidance on the judging criteria and everything else that you guys need to know. So Eric, this was a very good question. Thank you very much. Annette Nabusebi Makuma is asking, what is pitching and are we supposed to upload it to? Very good question. I will cover this on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. So the day after tomorrow, I will be covering pitching. We say pitching really, maybe pitching is not the correct word. Pitching usually involves you standing in front of a panel in about 3 minutes telling them about your idea. Now, we know that some of you have, especially the creative industry people, or participants, I beg your pardon, might have a video, for instance, that is going to supplement and complement your value proposition canvas and business model canvas. If you have anything else that you want to add that you think is going to give you an edge, please, by all means, go ahead and do it. Are you, for instance, an artist and you have this artwork that you've been doing, you have a collection and you want the judges to see it? By all means, go ahead and upload it. Have you been doing video editing and you want the judges to look at what you've been doing? Is there, for instance, a YouTube link that you could share talking about it, about your idea? If, for instance, you want to pitch your idea, we've encouraged anyone who wants to pitch their idea in maybe 2 minutes, I think is the maximum. You could actually upload your video when you're pitching your idea and upload it on YouTube and share the link as well as part of the digital platform. Anything you think you can use to give you an edge would be an added advantage. Do you have a website, for instance, that is already up and running? We've been looking at some of the ideas, the ones that we call advanced ideas. Like a third of these ideas are already advanced. People already have, for instance, websites. Some of the digital platforms are already in place. Some people have already started selling. Some people already have Facebook pages, Instagram pages. You can take screenshots of those and upload them. Anything that the judges are going to base themselves on to give you an edge, please do not let yourself down. The basics are the value proposition canvas and the business model canvas, but anything else that you can bring to enliven your idea would be a fantastic opportunity. Do not miss it. But I will be talking about these the day after tomorrow in the lead up to the deadline, which is on Friday. What question should we ask the customer? I think we've answered that one. How can we make and get a great market? That's $1 million question. I think by the time you're done with the Youth Ideathon, you will have all the answers. But it starts with an idea, and the value proposition canvas, as Laura has explained, is one of those. And then you look at the business model canvas, and there will be other things that will be part of the incubation program that you will take advantage of. Andrew Kato, my product is used by pupils or learners and paid for by parents and schools. Is profiling and making my VPC, in profiling and making my VPC, who spends and gains do I profile? This is a fantastic question, Laura. Kindly respond to this one.
Yes, I love it. I also saw it. It's a very good question. So what I would do is to map out both, because you said the schools and the parents, they are going to pay for. So it's also important to understand, like, what is their interest? Like, what is their problem? Why would they buy what you designed for? And why are they not buying from another provider? I mean, there are a lot of service providers also in the education space. So I would look at that. And then I would also look at the students, because you're designing ultimately, obviously, for the student. So the product must be awesome for the student itself. So I would look at both. So maybe here it would even make sense to either do 2 value proposition canvas, one for the customers, that is parents, schools, or and then one for the students itself. That might help you to split it up a bit. Yeah, but I would do both. Both are very relevant.
Thank you, Laura. That is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is to, and hopefully this will be explained tomorrow, where you will have, some products can actually have various customer segments. And yesterday we've talked about revenue streams. So you can have the same product. For instance, a school digital platform that is used by the school itself, the teachers, it's used by the students, obviously, and it is used by the parents. The parents, of course, pay the school fees, but if they pay the school fees and the child doesn't go to school, there's no business. The school charges for the fees, but they might be the one interested, especially in lockdown, to deliver this service to the parents. So they might actually be your main customer. So you could have multiple streams of income, but in your deciding as to who should pay, there will be other factors. For instance, if it's a UPE school, do the universal primary education kids have the money? Maybe not. So who should pay? Is it the government? Do the parents have the money? Perhaps not. Is it the school? Maybe the school is not the one that has the money. If it's a private school, international school, maybe. So again, some of these things you need a slightly deeper session, and perhaps a chat with a mentor going through back and forth on various scenarios. But I agree with Laura that sometimes it's better to have various scenarios and then you look at all of them and see which one is most optimal. Next, Geoffrey, sorry. It seems there's a problem with attaching documents. Yes, that one is being looked into by the IT team. Are we going to submit, this is Mukalazi, Remy. Are we going to submit for every idea, or we must pick one idea out of the rest? No, you can please submit for every idea. Remember, we are judging you based on the idea. So you might make a judgment call as to which idea you think is great, and the judges might actually have preferred the other one. So for instance, there will be aspects as part of the judging criteria that talk about things like potential for this idea to scale, potential for the idea to employ lots of people, aspects of gender, aspects of the environment. So one idea may not look exciting to you, but it ticks all these other boxes. So don't sell yourself short. Submit both ideas. Kayongo Michael, how do you address the issue of COVID-19 on the business model canvas? It's a very good question, but it's a bit nebulous. What do you mean? Laura, what do you want? How do you respond to Kayongo? Laura, are you there?
Sorry, my network was terrible right now. I didn't hear the question, but I think I'm back now.
It's okay. Kayongo was asking, how do you address the issue of COVID-19 on the business model canvas? I wasn't sure exactly what he meant by the issue of COVID-19. Is it that your customers are not there? Is it that your customers are now poor, they're not able to pay? Is it that your customers have now returned to the village? Is it that your customers cannot move? It's a bit nebulous. I wasn't sure. Maybe we should focus on another question. Be more clear when you're asking these questions. Hello, how exact, and again, just to remind my colleagues to please help me rank the questions so that I can go through them. I would love to see at least 4 thumbs up on each question before I can answer it, because then I go through it. I go through the most important ones. Hello, how exactly are we supposed to pitch? I've answered this one already. How do you address the issue of COVID-19? We answered this one already. How do you address why are these questions coming back? Okay, next question. Good morning. Will we have edited Canvas modules in our digital platforms where we just edit or fill? Sadly, Vanessa, no. You would have to complete the Canvas yourself. And once the Canvas has been completed, my suggestion is that you convert it into PDF and upload it. Of course, you can convert it into other formats as well, which you can always go back and edit, but it will be better to submit everything in PDF. And there's a very good technical reason for that. Moses Ekwang, thanks Nace, although you said base, but thanks Nace for the wonderful program offered and the fantastic presentations. I would like to know that will I need to register on a daily basis to attend the classes and confirm my participation? Perhaps this is a good time to bring in Albert, my colleague from the UNDP. Albert, do you want to respond to this one regarding registration? Either yourself or Peter, actually. Peter, could you please respond to this?
Yes, Dennis, I'm available. They don't, participants don't necessarily have to register every time they join. By the time you get onto the call, that means you're already registered. On a daily basis, you just use the same link that Zoom sent you, and you don't really have to register another time. And another thing also to let you know is that on a daily basis, we do track, we can easily track who joined and who didn't, just for your information. So you don't really have to be worried that maybe there's no record of you having attended a certain session or not. I think
Thank you very much.
Sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Albert. Next question from Eric Bonfas. When are we supposed to submit the value proposition canvas and the business model canvas? A very good question for everyone who's listening. The deadline is at 11:59 on Friday. 11:59 as in midnight, almost midnight. That's the deadline. And please, 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 this is the absolute deadline. When we had the deadline for submitting your ideas, we were shouting off the top of the roofs about the deadline. Not very many people took notice of it, or maybe thought they had more time. We had over 100 other individuals that had since contacted us saying that they wanted to submit their ideas, but that they had missed the deadline. Sadly, we couldn't bring them up because we had reached the deadline. So this deadline, please make note of it. And just to advise you, do not wait for Friday 11:59. No. Submit maybe by Friday morning, or as you've noticed today, when we had some IT issues and colleagues are trying to sort, why wait for Friday at midnight to submit your idea? I would suggest, especially after tomorrow, once you've had the value proposition conversation like we did today, which was thoroughly dug into, and you have tomorrow's session on the business model canvas, you know that the judging is going to happen on those two. Please go ahead and finish your work and submit it. Do not wait for the deadline. But for those who want to wait for the deadline, and I understand that sometimes most of you obviously are at work and you finish maybe at 6 o'clock and you want to start working on your, we understand that, and that's why these recordings are going to be available for those that want to go back and look into them. But please do not wait for the deadline. But the deadline, that said, is on Friday, close to midnight. Whereas Samson is saying, do we ask about the challenges they go through, or do we present a solution and request them to review it? I imagine you're talking about the customers. It's very important to understand their challenges first, because your solutions really are there to solve the challenges. So if you start with the solutions, you've actually gone the other way around, and you may have good solutions for no problems, or for problems that don't exist. Otim James, is pitch deck to be submitted? The word pitch deck, by the way, is relative. I could argue, for instance, that the business model canvas is your pitch deck. A pitch deck is a set of typically documents organized in a certain way to give the judge or the viewer an idea of to give them a sense of your idea. So in this case, the business model canvas is the default pitch deck. There will be other opportunities actually when we go to the next level, assuming that we're going to do this TV show and bring in more than the 100 individuals who had originally wanted to submit. There's going to be another opportunity to actually pitch in front of people. Then we'll be talking about pitch decks, but we'll help you and give you guidance on that. Laura, your message has been duly noted. For the benefit of everyone, Laura is asking to leave. Laura, do you want to say one last word before I let you go? But thank you very much for the fantastic session, really.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think I just want to encourage all of you to keep pushing your idea, to believe in your idea. I know that you can all make it. And I think the most powerful thing is actually entrepreneurship, to create a world we want to live in. So I really want to encourage you to not to give up and just to push forward. Thank you for your attention today. It was a lot of fun.
And thanks for your engagement, Laura, and your colleague as well. Absolutely fun. I even enjoyed the session myself, can you imagine? So well done. Thank you very much. And we'll see you on the finals on the 31st. Next question. What if I choose to make one BMC and one VPC for my best idea? That's entirely up to you, Kalucha. Todia Singra Ibrahim, thanks Laura, thanks for the good work. I attended for a few days at the Start Hub a few months ago. Yes, clearly your work coming through. Kasaga Lawrence, I used word processing tools to develop these canvases. Is that okay? Yes, it is. Do we need to draw the charts or can we, this is Abolo, Proscovia. Do we need to draw the charts or can fill under subheadings for both? Again, we have provided the standard templates. You can be as creative as you want to be, provided you not deviate from the gist of both documents. Raphael, hello Dennis, if I have 2 VPCs, do I also need 2 BMCs? Most likely yes, is the immediate answer, but without looking at the idea and the reason for the 2 VPCs, I wouldn't be able to give you a correct answer. Winfred Nakandi, where do we submit the canvases? The grants management has not been working. Again, that one is being reviewed at the moment, so apologies for that. I suggest you check later on. I've been told to check in an hour, but I suggest you give it maybe a couple of hours and see what the issue is that is being resolved. Ochoko Tony, with respect to various occupations, how do we account for the individuals who watch the videos posted but don't attend the session? That's a very good question. It's a bit challenging. There are very many reasons why people do not attend the sessions live. As I said, these ones are being delivered during the day. So imagine someone has work at the moment. Some are studying online, doing online courses because everything is under lockdown. So it's a bit tricky for us to dictate or to penalize those individuals that will not have attended. And that's the reason we're recording them, especially with subtitles and all these other options. But we do have a way of tracking. When you log in, we can see who's viewed which videos and things like that. But the system could use some improvement, definitely. But we're more interested in really the final results, not to police you. This is your idea after all. Dennis Bossa, hello facilitators. Is it advisable to go for an idea that opts for policy formulation, especially in the health sector? It's entirely up to you, Dennis. If your idea is to just write a policy, I guess it will depend on what the judges make of it. But the plan is to really support ideas that are into the business space, into the entrepreneurship space. So if you can demonstrate that you're setting up a consulting firm, maybe a research company that's going to look into ABCD, I don't know. But it's entirely up to you. Mark Kajubi. Dennis, could you kindly share the timetable of what we shall be covering in these 4 days? You shortly shared and I was unable to fully make note. Okay, this will be sent via email later tonight, but I can share the screen once again. Bear with me. Okay, can you see the screen? I hope you can see the screen. But there is a cleaner version. This one is just really, it happens to be on my table. But tomorrow we're talking about the business model canvas. And on Thursday, we are talking about pitching your business model canvas and the pitch decks. So those are the key. And of course, the other key date is Friday at 23 hours and 59 minutes, because that's when the deadline is. And as I said, do not wait for that deadline because it could, you could end up being very disappointed indeed. Let me go back to the questions. I'm going to look for maybe the next 10 questions and we'll call it a day. If my colleagues could please keep ranking them up. We've answered already 180 of them. There's still 106 questions. Albert, your hand is up.
Yes, Dennis, I just wanted to let you know that some people have raised their hands, just in case you would like to give them an opportunity to ask.
Oh, yes.
By all
means. Let me see whose hands are raised. Okay, let me make this interactive. Let's ask, allow Ayevare Dalton to ask your question. Ayevare Dalton. Unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, let's go to Kakuru Emmanuel. Kakuru Emmanuel, you're allowed to talk. Kakuru Emmanuel. Okay, maybe we'll explain how this one works. If you put your hand up, unless you press it by accident, it means you want to speak, and we could allow you to speak and ask the question if you're able to. So let me have another look. Ayebare Dalton, are you able to speak?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and ask a question. Please make it brief.
Yeah, I wanted to actually get more light, especially when my target groups are the vulnerable people. So I was inquiring because accordingly during this session, we are told that our target groups are always those people that we see they will give us money or they will act as a source of income. So how do I classify or grade the needed since they are part of my target groups?
I am not sure I understand your question very well, but the question seems to rotate around the people who are needy are your target group, but they are unable to pay. Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that means you will have to figure out who is going to pay for them. They may not be there's a gentleman, there's a person who asked the question about the school, where the parents, for instance, might be the ones paying school fees, but the students are the ones who are enjoying the classes. If you're using a digital platform, for instance, to teach, the students may not be the ones to pay, either their parents or the government. So have to be very clear as to who the person that is going to pay is. Let me look for maybe a female, actually. Patience Ankunda. Patience Ankunda, you're allowed to speak.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, thank you for this session. My question is, I have an existing business, and for this ideathon, I submitted an idea for a revenue stream under the business. And my question is, should I submit the BMC of my existing business, or should I create one for the idea under the business?
That's a very good question, actually. One, we would not want to penalize you because your business is already existing. Indeed, if this new idea is going to create a new revenue stream that is ultimately going to serve your business and expand it and employ more people, those are the kind of ideas we want to see. But the business model canvas cannot be, the idea cannot be looked at in isolation. So it is inevitable, for instance, when you're talking about the key activities in the background, it is inevitable that you're going to talk about the place where the business is based, what actually happens in that space. When you're talking about the resources that you need, it's inevitable that you're going to talk about those. So I don't think you can decouple those two. I think they are almost, it's inevitable that we're going to have to look into that. But do not focus more on the existing business, focus more on the idea and its impact on its own. For instance, if you didn't have the other business existing, how would your business model canvas look like? But if the aspects of your business that enhance your business idea, that are pivotal and important for your idea to succeed, do not leave them out. So it's a tricky balance. I'll let you make the judgment call on that. But it's a very good question. There are quite a number of people that applied who are already in motion. Their ideas are already on the road. So we encourage those, and you seem to be in that particular category. If I could find another lady, Maria Magdalene Namaganda. You're allowed to speak, Maria.
Thank you so much, Dennis. So my question was, I got to the point that we can have the BMC and the value proposition canvas in one document. So how about if there are different ideas? Do I have different documents, or I could have my different ideas, each with its VPC and the model canvas, and I put in one document?
Thank you. Another very good question. Because there are two different ideas, and one idea could be in agriculture, another one could be in ICT, you would have to submit 2 separate documents. So for instance, you'd have one document that has the value proposition canvas and the business model canvas for ICT. You could have another business model canvas and value proposition canvas for, let's say, agriculture. And you could actually be a winner in both of those and win 2 different grants. So keep the ideas separate, and I think the platform has the facility to do that. So very good question. Let me go to another person. Let me see who I pick up. I'm still looking for females. Jacinta Kesimire. You're allowed to talk. Jacinta? Jacinta, you're allowed to talk. You may want to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm around, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. Thanks very much for everyone who's participating. My question is more on the customers. For example, my customers, some of them are target customers. I'm targeting the oil region. And I'm not in position to say this one or to know how I can get them easily. But I project in the future that they will be my customers because of the increase in the business in the oil region. How am I going to address that when I'm making the market grid?
I beg your pardon. I think it's the chicken in the background that disturbed me. Could you repeat your question, please? Okay,
my question was on my customers. Yeah. Some of my customers are future customers. For example, my idea was about the brooms and the poultry, but targeting the oil-rich region. I'm looking at the big hotels that are going to be constructed this side, the new population that is going to come this side in the oil region. So I'm not able to say maybe how many or who particularly, but they are also my customers. How do I explain that when making my canvas?
That's a very good question. And when we had the session on minerals and oil and gas and things like that, someone did ask or raise a concern that most of the opportunities are rather futuristic. But of course, what you're doing is you're positioning your business to be able to tap into those opportunities in the future. So you're in the right space, but I would encourage you to look for documents, key government documents, things like the NDP 3, National Development Plan 3. There are lots of documents on UNOC's website. This is the Organization for Oil and Petroleum around the policy. And in those documents, you'll find things like how many people they expect to be, how many hotel rooms are going to be expected in those regions, which roads are going to be constructed, where are they going to pass. So there's going to be a lot of information, and you can deduce some interesting facts and statistics from some of those documents, especially if you cite them. I don't know whether you're familiar with citations. Citations is referring to the documents that you will have gotten that information from. So if you tell me that there's going to be a need for 100 hotels in Hoima region, and at the moment there's only 2, where did you get that information from? How do we know that there's only 2 hotels? And how is yours going to be unique? So do research, go online, look for government documents, National Planning Authority and others. You're bound to find a lot of information. Next question. Could I ask my colleagues, by the way, in the meantime, to answer the questions in the Q&A facility as I deal with the live questions? I'm actually quite enjoying the live questions. Let me carry on and stick to the female theme. I'll come to the boys later. Please do not despair. Christine Nyakona. Christine Nyakona, you're allowed to speak.
Hello, Dennis. Thank you. My question is on the BMC. Now, in the BMC, there's a section, the middle one, which is the value proposition. And yet we have a separate value proposition. So what do I put within there? And yet I already have a separate value proposition. Yet within the BMC, I see a section. The middle part of it is about value proposition. Do I summarize it there? kindly help clarify on that?
That's a very good question. I think everything will become clear tomorrow. What you are doing today's session was deep, and I deliberately structured it in such a way that because sometimes when you explain the business model canvas and people talk about the value proposition, which is rather simplistic. The value proposition is saying, this is the problem I'm trying to solve, and this is how I'm going to solve it. You know, that's too simplistic. There's a whole canvas that talks about, goes into further detail, which is the value proposition canvas that we've done today. So the value proposition in the middle of that canvas is technically a summarized version of the value proposition canvas. But the value proposition canvas gives a viewer of your documents, of both documents, slightly more detail, more information, in-depth stuff about your idea. So tomorrow, my colleagues from Makere Innovation Incubation Center will dig into the business model canvas and will share more information with regards to how you can actually put your business model canvas together. But in a nutshell, it is a summary. Now, I am mindful that a lot of you, your data is almost done. I've just seen someone from Asimo Benjamin, maybe, and again, lots of hands are up. I'm really loving the way you guys are engaging, not just in the chat session, but the number of questions you're asking, 182 questions answered, 117 still to be answered. My colleague, Albert, is going to copy all these and save them for our colleagues to respond and maybe provide you with more information. I'm afraid I can't go through all of them, including the ones whose hands are up. But maybe just for our own indulgence, if you could please, again, like we did yesterday, using the chat session, drop in a few texts to let us know how today's session was. If you could use one word, what would that word be? And as you do that, just to confirm that tomorrow we come back again at exactly 9 a.m. You should be using the same links that we sent you to log in. And I hope that at the end of today, you'll be working on your value proposition canvases, and that tomorrow you show up on time to bring what you have done, what you've learned today into the business model canvas. The best students are those who will go ahead, as well as completing the value proposition canvas, go ahead and produce the business model canvases as well, which you can always edit, of course, tomorrow once you've had more information. So don't settle, crack on. We're just 2 days away from the finals, where one of you guys is going to win 100 million shillings. Can you imagine? Great opportunity. So from myself and the whole team, I would like to thank you everyone for attending. I'm not sure that my colleagues want to say a thing or two. Bana, do you want to say a thing or two? Hadija, perhaps, my colleagues from the UNDP.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dennis. Thank you very much for today. I think it was quite
Sorry, Bana, your line is breaking up.
I think I've been saying that in the side chat. It's very interesting to see how engaged everybody is, and I hope we shall be able to. Oh, sorry, maybe Hadija can speak then. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Perhaps if you could disable the video, it should help.
Okay, Dennis, I was just thanking the team from NACE and all the participants for a very engaging session. We've been seated back also listening in, and it has been quite a resourceful experience. And I hope for the entrepreneurs and that it was enlightening for them as much as it was for us. So thank you, and thank you to Laura and team for taking them through this very engaging and practical session. The whole time I kept wishing it was actually physical, because there's a lot that could have been done with them actually physically present. At the end of the day, I hope that everyone's value proposition canvas will be enhanced after this. So thank you all, and we meet tomorrow again on the same.
Thank you very much, Bana, and grateful for your support, not just yourself, Khadija, the whole crew, Peter and Albert. We know if we don't thank you, you won't let us into the Zoom session tomorrow. So we'd like to thank you as well very much for your support. And we'll do again this tomorrow. And hopefully, once this thing is done under lockdown or no lockdown, we'll be able to do the physical sessions where some of the questions, as you can tell, a lot of questions still up. The plan was originally to do this in different regions, in different sessions, so you have a more interactive aspect to ideation. Ideation is never meant to be a one-way side of things. It's always interactive, iterative. You make things, you move, you pivot and things like that. So we'll do that once this COVID thing has finished. But I'd like to thank everyone who attended today's session. I think we're over 500 something. There will be videos sent out. Please check your emails. Apologies for the platform not being responsive today. Colleagues are working on that, and hopefully everything should be resolved by close of play this evening. With those few words, I'd like to wish you a very good day. Thank you and goodbye.